it's Mermaid Minnow with today's video where we are going to finally get the review of this beauty, my Mernation Genesis tail. Over a year ago, my first video on my YouTube channel was posted, and that first video was an unboxing of my Mernation tail. So it's finally time. In that video, I did mention that I would be coming out shortly with a review of the tail after I'd gone to swim in it in a while. A year is probably more than enough time to have enough swims in this tail to be able to finally give you the review I've always wanted to do on this tail. Just like with my Aqua Mermaid tail, I'm going to review it on 4 different categories: the order process, the aesthetic of the tail, the swimmability of the tail, and then finally my overall comments. So anything that doesn't fit in those first 3 categories, I'm just going to kind of talk about and kind of summarize my review. So without further ado, let's dive in and finally get the review of this tail. So the ordering process. I touched on this in my original unboxing video, but the order process was absolutely phenomenal. So I have, and I'm gonna look over here, so I apologize, but I have some dates here for you all. So I went ahead and got this tail designed by Abby Tails on Instagram. I will plug her handle and Instagram page here. And she did a phenomenal job. I was so excited when I got this mermaid tail design from her. It was exactly what I wanted. I talked to her about wanting sort of like a natural, I used some inspiration of some bass tails I had seen, but I wanted the striping as well, and she really nailed it on the head. After I got the tail design from Abby Tails, I went ahead and contacted Mernation, and I officially ordered the tail on August 22nd. So on that evening, I went ahead and I created a duct tape dummy. So something that Mernation does, and I talked about in my Aqua Mermaid tail video, and I believe I might have talked about in my original unboxing video, is that Mernation has you do a duct tape dummy. So it wasn't a pleasant night, let me be honest. It was hot, it was August, and me and my mertender were bickering quite a bit throughout the process, so it was very difficult for us. However, what we did is we used trash bags, and we kind of got myself in the trash bags and duct taped around those to create a size, so that way they could base it off of the silicone tail. So I did also measure while I was doing the actual dummy, and so I emailed them those measurements that night and went ahead and sent off the dummy with the paper measurements the next day. The next day I did pay for 2-day shipping as well, so I tried to get it to them as fast as possible, because they did initially tell me that when I asked what their ordering process was, and I believe they told me it was somewhere between 8 to 10 weeks initially, but they said if I got the dummy in sooner, they could squeeze me in a bit sooner. So I was excited. I was like, yes, of course I want to go sooner. So I was thinking maybe 6 weeks instead of 8 weeks. That's not too bad. Hold on. So then they emailed me, Mernation did email me on Monday. So that was, I think, the 22nd maybe was a Friday or somewhere close to that. So on Monday of that next week, they did email me letting me know that unfortunately their supplier for their bras, the quality wasn't up to their standards, and so they were going to have to cancel my bra order. So that exact day, they did issue me a refund, and of course I was bummed about it. I probably could reach back out to them at this point and get a top made. I just have used so many different things, including my Tafiti top from Finfolk. Even though it's a different shade of green, it goes really, really well with this tail. So I've been making do with it. A couple of days later, I get an email from them, and that was actually on that, so I had mentioned that was a Monday. The Thursday of that week, I had gotten an email saying that they completed the core, it was dry, and it was ready to start painting that night. Anyone who's ordered a tail, mermaid tail, will be like, wait, what? No. They did not make a mermaid tail Monday to Thursday. They did, you guys. They did. And I was just like dying. I was so excited. They had sent me on Thursday evening a base photo, so it was just the basic paint on the tail, and then Friday evening, the whole thing was done. They were gonna let it dry for another day or two, I think is what they said, but it was all painted. So this mermaid tail, from the day they got my dummy to the end of the week, is how long it took. It took less than 7 days for them to make this mermaid tail. And some of you might be feeling a little wary, like, what does that mean for the quality of the tail? We'll talk about it. But I was so excited to hear that. And so it was amazing. So then they shipped it to me and I got it on September 11th and I did my unboxing video, and that's kind of the end of that. One thing I did want to mention about the ordering process is the communication with Mernation the entire time was phenomenal. If I had a question, I usually got a response within the same day, if not the same hour. So I don't know if I just caught them in some off season and really just got good luck, but my goodness, I cannot praise how much that ordering process was just phenomenal. I have worked with mermaid tail companies all throughout the mermaid industry here. So I have worked with Mernation, I have worked with Mertailor, I have worked with Two Tails, I have worked with Aqua Mermaid, I have worked with etc., right? Finfolk. Not every single one, but a lot of them. And this kind of turnaround and that kind of response in their customer service is just amazing. And so I really want to plug that. If you're thinking about a first mermaid tail, I cannot say enough how you will not regret getting a Mernation as your first mermaid tail. So just for you to know. What about the actual tail itself? So looking at the aesthetic of the tail, right? So we can see this tail is a really beautiful tail. And this tail is I mean, it was designed for me. So I absolutely adore this tail. People recognize me for this tail and they know it's a minnow tail. I do want to mention that I did have myself a little limited when I originally purchased this tail. So Mernation has 3 different types of tails that you can buy. So there's their Genesis edition, and that is just the basic. This is a Genesis fluke here. You don't have any patterning, no additional fins. It is just the tail itself. And it's colored. They have a lot of different colors. They have white, they have black, they have green, they have red, etc. But you don't add in additional pieces. Then they have their next tier, which is the Genesis Plus edition. And this is what this tail is. So with the Genesis Plus, I was able to get striping throughout the tail. The reason why the striping looks the way it does is because Mernation does dictate in their order form for the Genesis Plus that the striping is relatively uniform throughout the tail. So that is why it's just kind of lines on the side, although it turned out looking really, really cool, and I am still excited about it. People have told me it's a little tiger tail and stuff like that. It does look really cool, but that's why, if everyone ever wondered, why it's just stripes. With the Genesis Plus edition, you can also add on fins, and there's a different type of, it's the Croy, I think. And then they have their top tier, which is their signature line, which is their most expensive and most customizable version. So they have different styles of flukes that you can use, and just different, you can do all sorts of patterning, fins, whatever you want. So that is their more expensive tail. So if I could talk about the tail itself, it is a gorgeous tail. There are some things with the tail that maybe could be better, and I think some tail makers do differently, and so I just want to take a couple of moments to showcase them right now. So one of the things being that is the seams on the side are quite noticeable. So and I guess it's not too bad when I'm actually wearing it, but if you look at the tail itself, on the sides there is kind of like a rough edge type seam. So it scales, uniform scales, and then it gets kind of blobby towards the middle, and you can tell that's where they binded the pieces of the silicone together, and that is on both sides of the tail. Another thing is you can see there are some areas of the scales that are a little rough. So the pour, I don't know if like extra silicone came off or what it might be, but it is a little rough in some areas. There's a little bit of ridging. The tail itself, though, is absolutely gorgeous. You have to be up close to notice those things. Those aren't things that you notice in photos or videos at all, actually. But I just thought it was important to note because I think some people would like to know that. So I adore this tail. Everything about it is beautiful. It has green glitter inside the tail. that you can actually see pretty well in a lot of photos and videos. So it is a really, really pretty tail, and it stands out in the water really well. I know a complaint that a lot of people have about green or blue tails is it kind of, you know, blends in, but I never have to do a lot of editing on any sort of water photos with this tail or video because it stands out. It is quite a bright tail. So it is just, it is beautiful. There's no other way I can put it. Everything about this tail is beautiful. But again, I'm biased because this is what I had designed and this was custom to me. So you may be like, ugh, I don't like that. But whatever, it's my tail, I don't care. Next, talking about the swimability of the tail. So it is a silicone tail, which means it is a little bit more difficult to put on and it's a little bit more difficult to take off. So in terms of safety of the tail, it is a little less safe than you would say a fabric tail. However, to be honest, this tail isn't that difficult to get off. I can kick it off pretty easily and slide it off, and I have not too many issues at all with that. One thing that I do notice when I am swimming is there is a gap. But if you know anything about mermaid tails, any mermaid tail for a mermaid who has any sort of bum has a gap because they have to make the lace a little bit larger for you to be able to get it over your bum. So because of that, the gapping is natural. Mernation does sell gap wraps that I could use if I really, really wanted to. I just haven't found the need yet. I usually just use a scarf. I have a snake colored scarf that you can see in some of my photos, but I usually just tie that scarf around my waist and I'm good to go. One issue and complaint I do have about this tail is that I have struggles with the straps on the monofin. This is a Finis Wave or Rapid. I can't remember which one is in the tail. So it does have straps that are detachable in them. It is silicone, so it is kind of difficult to get between the monofin where the strap attaches and detaches, but it isn't impossible. It's not like my Aqua Mermaid tail where one side I just can't even get it off. I can get them on and off on both sides. It's just not easy. So when I go swimming, I don't think I'm able to get it tight enough on both sides. I probably could wear some aqua socks and this would help a lot, but my feet do have a tendency to kick out if I do a really hard fluke flip. But when I'm actually just normally swimming, it's usually not a problem. So that would be the only gripe I have about the swimmability. Otherwise, it swims like a dream. It is flowy, it is fast, it is strong, and it is just so easy to maneuver in this tail, which surprises me because I have Mertailor silicone fins, which I know why. I have a stiff blade monofin in here, but I thought it would be very similar and comparable to that, but it's really not. I have quite a bit of control in this tail. And then lastly, just my overall comments about this tail. You know, I can't rave enough about this tail. It is a piece of art. Yes, it was expensive, but I paid for art. I paid for an artist to make a customized, wearable piece of art for me. Not only is it wearable, it's swimmable. And so because of that, you're gonna pay a little bit more. So I guess you could say one of the other cons I have about this tail that doesn't really fit into swimmability or aesthetic of the tail is that it's heavy. And so because of that, it doesn't get as much use as I really wish it would. So it is difficult to take it with me to places. I can't really take it very far, although with my Finfolk bag now, it's going to be a lot easier, but prior it was really hard to kind of lug around to places. It also being difficult to get in and out of. It is kind of, it kind of, sometimes I just want to swim. I don't want to have to go through the process of putting on a mermaid tail. So that's another reason why it doesn't get as much use as I wish it did. There are some things that I would have preferred to be a little bit different, sure, but the weight of it and the difficulty of getting it on and a little bit of the foot straps are really the only things that I would really, really change if I had the chance to. But the thing is I will always hang on to this tail. I have contemplated a couple of times selling this tail because it doesn't get as much use as I hope it would, but I just can't. I always find another reason to wear it, and I just seeing it even just makes me happy. It usually doesn't get stored like this. I know people might see this and be like, oh my god, no, you shouldn't do that. It doesn't, I promise. It gets laid down either in a safe place on the ground where it doesn't get stepped on, or this couch that we're actually on is a very common space that it gets laid out on. And so because of that, I really do take good care of this tail because I want to keep it forever, because it's always going to be a piece of art. I do hope to someday be able to get it somehow supported where it can be showcased on a wall or something like that. Maybe even like in a, I've seen somebody do like a coffee table where they stuck tails in. I would really love to have that, because this is such a beautiful piece of art and I am so happy with it. I'm just as happy with it as the day that I unboxed it, and it's something that I'm always going to hang on to, even if it is a pain to move around when it has to be moved around. So overall, if you're looking for a silicone tail, you haven't owned one before, you're worried about price, I would highly recommend Mernation as an option for you, because it really is. They are wonderful with their customer service. The tail itself is gorgeous. They are, you know, reasonably priced. So realistically, this is one of my favorite tails. It will always be one of my favorite tails because it's just like my baby. Anyone who has a silicone tail will know it's just their baby. And so I'll always be happy with this tail and nothing can change my opinion on that. All right, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that if you're thinking of getting a Mernation tail, I helped kind of explain some of the things that I went through. And if you do have any questions about any of it and my experience, please go ahead and leave a question down below, as well as comment, do you have a mermaid tail? Or if you're planning on getting a mermaid tail, what would your ideal style be for that tail? So if you already have one, go ahead and comment. Go ahead and drop a link to a photo if you have it. But if you don't have one yet but want to get a silicone mermaid tail, what would it look like for you? So if you guys aren't already to, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. All of my socials of where I have other mermaid adventures are also linked down below in the description. And I hope to see you guys on my next mermaid adventure in the next video. So I'll swim with you guys later. Bye!